Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. Rappelez-nous encore une fois que nous gagnons un rendez-vous le 23 août pour nous voter. Si nous ne pouvons pas voter par mail, si nous ne pouvons pas voter dans early voting. C'est très important pour nous voter. Rappelez-nous encore une fois que vote là, c'est lui-même qui fait qu'on compte dans le pays site. Ou pas voter, ou pas compter. Et là, pas compter, il pas occupé. Alors, dans la saison politique, ça, nous gagnons plusieurs candidats qui visitent nous, candidats de toute nationalité, nous ouvrons porte pour eux. Et à ce moment nous allons faire connaissance avec un monde que certainement pile nous connaît déjà parce que il est toujours un peu partout dans la communauté haïtienne. Il s'agit de Jason Bloch. Jason Bloch a run pour le capable juge. Et nous gagnons également, après lui, nous sommes capables, encore une fois, on partit dans interview que moi été fait avec le candidat pour gouverneur là, qui c'est Charlie Chris. So, nous sommes capables de suivre à Soya, qui message vous gagné pour nous. Et puis, c'est comme ça soirée après le passé. Donc, et nous avons l'autre invité encore, oui, cap là Soya, mais Poko, qui a dit non, non. Nawel, non, moment. À tout de suite. As announced, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Jason Bloch with us tonight. Thank you for visiting us, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. And bonsoir, mes amis. Ça passe?
Wow, Naboulé.
Elizabeth.
You speak French and Creole, I realized.
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu.
Seulement.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Well,
really.
That's about it. So,
you know, you're so much in the Haitian community that I think that right now it's normal for you to speak Creole and French, both at the same time.
Well, occasionally I try.
That's something. So I forgot to tell you that he's not our only guest tonight. We have a second guest. And his name is Django, and you can see him, part of him right now. Can we show Django, please? We have Django. You can only see his right arm or left arm?
His left paw.
Left, okay. I always had a problem with right and left. Ooh. So Django is our guest too, and we hope to hear from him during this interview. I think that would be the first time that we'll have Django, a wonderful dog, in our show. Woo, it's exciting. So tell me about Django. Why did you bring him?
So Django is...
Django, sorry.
Django.
Django in French.
Django. He's a friend. He's a dog of many languages and for many people, many cultures. He's actually a dog that I adopted from a rescue mission during COVID. So I was... You
fell in love with him or you just did it as a duty?
I started doing it, growing up I had a dog, a golden retriever, and then after law school I had a German Shepherd, and I loved both dogs. I love dogs. But with my career as a lawyer, my schedule didn't really allow me to keep a dog because I would come home late at night and it just wasn't fair. But with the pandemic, you know, as you know, many of us were stuck at home, and I figured this would be a time to try it, but I still wasn't sure. So I agreed to foster a dog, which is just have a dog temporarily. Mm-hmm. And I had another dog temporarily, and that dog found an owner. And the shelter said, well, we have another dog that nobody wants.
Nobody wanted Django?
Nobody wanted Django.
Oh, Django, yes.
And I said, and he had a foster, and that foster needed to go out of town, so they needed a temporary foster. And I said, okay, if you can't find anybody, I'm happy to do it. So Django came over, and he was very nervous and very shy, but we started to get along pretty well. And then they said, well, the original foster, he's back, but if you want to keep Django for the weekend, you can. I said, sure. And all of a sudden, the other foster, they gave him another dog without really telling me. So now he became my foster, but I still hadn't adopted him. Until a few weeks later, they said, we have a couple that wants to see Django to adopt him.
You said, no, I'm not getting him.
I said by that point I couldn't.
So look at us. We are kind of weird people talking about the dog. You're running a campaign. You need to remind people about how close you are to the Haitian community, how wonderful you were as a judge. And then we are talking about Django.
Yeah.
I think we're normal. It's like...
I would say that some seasoned political experts would say I've got my priorities mixed up in an interview. But it just so happens he came with me tonight, and you were gracious enough to allow him to be on the studio. And he often, when we walk into a room, he seems to dominate the room's attention anyway.
But
so
that's not good for you then, because
no, who doesn't like
forget about you and concentrate on Django.
It's only natural.
It's only.
But I ride his coattails, if you were. I ride his tail.
I love it. But you never know. You can maybe go to court with him, because who will say no to a dog? I mean, if he's polite and well-educated as Django.
He's very calm. He's very chill. Right, buddy?
And we're still talking about
We're still talking about Django.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure my campaign manager is
very upset right now.
She's pulling her hair out.
Don't leave, please. Hello.
Yes, okay. Should we talk about something else?
Let's talk about you.
Okay.
Besides the fact that you really love Accra pickles, I just said with an American accent. And what else? Griot. You don't eat griot?
Accra is my favorite.
Accra?
Does it always come spicy, or was it just the time I had? This a little bit.
They always put too much spice in the Accra. That's my problem.
I love it. I love it.
You like it like that?
I said, this is fantastic.
I was fighting with a restaurant owner recently because of that. It's like it's like everybody, we're not crazy. Not everybody likes piment, because we call it piment too, and they put so much spice. But anyway, so besides these two things, what do you like about us Haitian?
So I guess, all the light stuff aside with Django, who I do love, and Haitian cuisine, which I also love. I guess to be more serious about really why we're here, which is my campaign. As you know, I'm a former judge, and we met many years ago when I was campaigning. And as part of that, I was introduced in many ways to the Haitian community, and going to a lot of events, cultural events.
I have pictures of you with every well-known Haitian in the community. So they liked you. That's a good sign.
Oh, well, the feeling is mutual. So
I said they liked, I hope they still like you.
I hope so.
They do.
You
wouldn't be here otherwise.
And the thing that impressed me and continues to impress me, and which I'll never forget, is how warm and welcoming the Haitian community is. Very gentle, very giving, and just welcoming. And, these days especially, where many of us are polarized in so many ways, politically and culturally.
Divided, yes.
In Miami, which has so many different groups of people, different ethnicities, different countries of origin, when we can have a situation where people who have different upbringings, different backgrounds, when we learn to be with each other, to get along, to become friends, it's really a special thing, and I think it's enriching for everybody. So I always come away from those events feeling better, warmer, welcomed.
That's a very nice thing to tell us. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
It's completely sincere.
I know it is. I can feel it. So tell me about your life. I never asked you about when you were a kid, did you grow up here or in another state? I realized after all these years, I never asked you that. So tell me about you.
Well, I don't know how interesting my life is, but I can tell you quickly. I grew up here in South Florida. I went to public schools. after I graduated, I went out to California and I got my...
South Florida, Miami, or Broward?
In Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Broward.
Hollywood boy.
Yes.
Cool.
And so then I went out to California for school. I went to the University of California at Berkeley. I was a business major. And I worked out in California for a couple of years. And then I decided to go to law school, and then I came back to the
You
East.
decided it, or it was a family business
No,
obligation? I always ask the same question. You know, guys.
No, my family was pretty hands-off about these things, and I think they were letting me explore and grow and make my own decisions, which was probably a good thing because I think I was someone who matured a little bit later. And it took me that time of college.
Well, that's honest.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I was immature, but I think I was unsophisticated in terms of having ideas about how my future should unfold, picking a career,
It's a very
knowing what my passion would be later in life. And
special way to put it.
So, right. Well, I hope that doesn't sound too bad.
No, not at all. I like it. Yes.
And to be honest with you, I decided to go to law school because when I was in college and afterwards, I was working in different kinds of music jobs. I put on concerts on campus, and I worked for the performing arts organization on campus, and I worked at a radio station.
Really? As what? As a host?
I'm just a promotions assistant. So I worked with the DJs, I worked with the promotion department. Again, I was fairly young. I was just right out of college. But I wanted to be an agent or something in the music industry. And one of the agents that I had become friendly with said, well, if you get a law degree, that can always help you. So I started applying to law school, and I got into Georgetown. And so I went to DC, went to Georgetown. And when I got there, I realized that entertainment really wasn't for me. I mean, that's what brought me there. But I became so fascinated, so intrigued, and really falling in love with the law. It's such an intellectual challenge, and it has the capability of helping people, vindicating rights. You can do a lot if you are able to exercise your rights to pursue a claim in the courts, or on the other side of it, if someone needs to be defended. It's important to have a lawyer that can help. So I saw the virtue of that, and it was also the intellectual challenge, the intellectual rigor that really got me going. So I sort of gave up the idea of going into the entertainment industry and just focused on the law. And I graduated from Georgetown Law with honors, and I was part of their appellate litigation clinic. And I ended up coming back home to Miami. I got offers to work at law firms, but I decided to work for the public. So I went to work for the Miami-Dade County Attorney's Office. And I was an assistant county attorney for 20 years.
Okay.
And I don't know how many of your viewers
I thought you were 24 or something like that, so you got it wrong.
Well, every time I see you, you somehow manage to look
That's exactly why I told you that, so you can answer that. Thank you. It
think,
worked.
Yes. I think I need to eat my okra with less spice.
So you look as young as me. Oh, man, you're going to disappear. You're going to be too young then.
Okay. Well, you've got that Benjamin Button. Do you know that movie?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes, so
I'm talking a lot.
no, but it's good. That's what we want. We want to know you better because lots of our viewers, they have seen you in Haitian events. You were everywhere. And they don't know much about your life, who you are. They say, oh, that nice guy who's talking to everybody who likes Haitian food. So it's good that we know much more about you. So as a lawyer, what is your forte? Because nowadays, everybody is accident lawyer. Is that what you do? I'm asking myself if we'll have difficulties soon to find a lawyer who's not doing accidents, personal injuries, because they all do the same thing. What do you do?
So at the county attorney's office, I was a litigator, which means I was in court.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was representing the people of Miami-Dade County, really representing the county. So, for example, if there was a lawsuit filed against the county by a construction company, I would represent the county and defend the taxpayers against that lawsuit. So I did trials, jury trials, I did appeals, I was the lead counsel in many jury trials and appeals. I had appeals in the Florida Supreme Court, in the Third District Court of Appeal, in the United States Courts of Appeal. But it was really as part of public service. So I would represent Miami-Dade County and the people of Miami-Dade County. But as you can imagine, a county as big as Miami-Dade County with all its different departments, whether it be the airport, or the seaport, or the police department, the fire department, transit, water and sewer, library, on and on and on. All that needs representation. So the county attorney's office has a very large law office, and it's actually a pretty well-respected law office. There's lawyers there from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, University of Pennsylvania, Georgetown, and many, many others. And it's really a top-notch law firm, even though it's a government firm. So I felt very fortunate to practice there and practice for so long.
But you don't have your office right now. You don't
No,
practice.
so as you know, after 20 years with the county, I applied to become a judge.
Yes, and yes.
And I went through a process. It's a nominating process. You go to the Judicial Nominating Commission, which is made up of many lawyers from the community. And there's a substantial application. It's a very thorough application. You have to give all kinds of information about your background, your legal experience. You have to give names of opposing counsel, judges, and they vet you quite extensively. They investigate. And from that, I was very fortunate that from over 30 applicants, I believe, I was nominated.
Wow.
And the governor appointed me.
I remember that.
So I became a judge and was on the circuit court for a few years. And then after that, am I going on and on too much?
It's just that we're going to take a short break.
Oh, okay.
But it was great. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Mesdames et messieurs, m'a rappelé nous que invité nous c'est former judge Jason Bloch que en pile nous connaît déjà et la run encore pour les capable judge à nouveau et numéro c'est 96. Voilà. Donc Jason Bloch. Once you were a judge, you still have the name judge. So they call you Judge Jason Bloch.
Well, yes, as sort of an honor, sometimes when public officials have held office, you can call them by their prior title. Former presidents, former governors are often referred to as president or governor or mayor. That can apply to judges as well. Because I'm not currently a judge, because I'm a former judge, you could say that. But because I'm a candidate at the time, and I don't want to confuse anyone by...
The fact,
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I didn't really, after I left office, no one really called me judge. But people asked me, and I said, you can just call me Jason.
Oh, that's cool.
So technically, yeah, you can do it, but especially now, I want to make sure I don't confuse or mislead anybody into thinking that I'm currently a judge. Although you're right.
You're running as a circuit judge in Miami-Dade.
Yes.
And your number is 96.
Yes.
And why? Why are you running again? I know you had a very good experience as a judge, but tell us in your own words, why are you running again?
So after I left the bench, I spent the last 5 or 6 years doing pro bono work.
Yes, I've heard that you helped a lot.
Yes, I did.
And you received awards. You see all I know? Ha!
Yes.
Okay, tell us about these awards and everything that you've done.
Well, so after leaving the bench, I could have done a lot of things, but I do have legal training, I have the experience, and I felt like I still had an obligation for public service, so I should use my training and my experience to try to help people. So I've been taking exclusively pro bono cases since I left the bench, helping individuals and families who needed legal representation and nonprofit organizations, but couldn't afford it. And so I've spent probably over 1,000 hours of free legal time over the last few years. And as you say, I was very privileged to win some awards for that. The 2021 Legal Aid Pro Bono Access to Justice Award and a couple others.
You don't even remember them.
Well, I don't, you know,
I know, I've heard, and
legal
I've
aid
seen.
for child advocacy in 20. Anyway, it's not something I want to.
But they are very important for us to
Yes.
know, because.
And so I've helped people who are facing foreclosure or eviction, children in dependency proceedings. I was an attorney ad litem for a minor who was facing abuse and neglect, domestic violence victims, really a whole range of people who needed legal representation. And in the last few years, to be honest with you, I think we've all seen a lot of changes.
In the world.
In the world.
But let's talk about Miami and
our country, in Miami. And I think some of it.
What is the most disturbing thing for you in all these changes?
I don't want to get too detailed into it, but I think your viewers will know that we have really gone through some unusual, maybe even unprecedented times, certainly during my lifetime. We had the pandemic, we have a lot of political and cultural polarization, like I referred to earlier.
Absolutely.
And I think our democracy is precious. And
are we losing it?
I don't want to say we're losing it. What I do believe, though, is that a strong, functioning judiciary is critical for a democracy to survive and to thrive. And although I was happy to be doing the work that I was doing, and I believe I was helping people, I hope I was, I decided that the best way for me to serve now would be to get back on the bench.
I like what you wrote on your card, and this is so true. You wrote service, fairness, integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Mesdames et messieurs, avant que nous continuions l'interview nous avec Jason Bloch, m'a fait nous connaître que notre producteur Guérin s'est amusé à nous filmer behind the scene. Ou qu'on est là, chauffe une fête ou bien libéral fête, toujours une caméra qu'on rete l'humain et puis au filmer deux trois petits bagailles, deux trois petites conversations. Donc, je vais permettre nous à pour nous suivre deux, trois petits behind the scene conversation que nous avons gagné avec Jason Bloch. Et je tout fait nous connaître que monsieur t'a rencontré The Rock. Hi! On nous ça.
Django, come here. Can you sit, please? No. Stay. No. Come on, buddy. He's nervous. He's trying to do every trick in the book so we can go. Lay down, Django. No, lay down.
Oh my God,
Stay,
I'm well impressed.
Stay.
Okay, if he follows you, that's fine.
Stay.
But at least we could start and show him, and then he will walk around.
It's just, I've been in. It's okay, buddy. All right. Were you a model before? Ever model?
In my mind.
I'm Jason Bloch, and I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in Miami-Dade County. I devoted my entire career to public service. First, representing the people of Miami-Dade County as an assistant county attorney for 20 years. Then, I was appointed to Miami-Dade County Circuit Court Bench. I care deeply about this community and our country. As judge, I promise to treat everyone with respect and serve with fairness and justice for all. For these reasons, I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Please vote for me, Jason Bloch, for Circuit Court Judge on August 23rd.
So, Jason, why these three words? Why did you choose them?
So actually, I didn't choose them specifically. The people who are supporting me and
they said that's the best way to describe you.
Yes, and you know, when I read them, service, fairness, integrity is certainly qualities that I have always tried to embody, both as a lawyer and as a judge, and qualities that I will aspire to maintain if I'm elected to be judge again. So in a sense, even though I didn't pick those words, I think they are a good description of the values that I think are core and are critical for someone who wants to be on the judiciary and serve the public. And that a really important role with a lot of responsibility.
Is it difficult to have integrity in this world?
I don't think it's difficult to have integrity. And maybe I'm not fully understanding it, but for me, it's a fairly simple concept to have integrity, to be honest, to be true to morality, fairness. I mean, it's never been difficult for me. I mean, I think we all maybe
it's the way you were raised by your family. These are the values that you share in your family, with your family. But
I think so.
You will agree with me that we are surrounded by corruption and really bad stuff.
Well, there's no question. I think most people are good, decent, fair, honest, have integrity. Maybe I'm naive, but I believe that. But you're right. There's always an element of our society that is not that way. As you say, corrupt, dishonest. And I think that's just part of human nature. But what we do about that as a society is what's important. And again, in order for our society to make things the way they ought to be, for the law-abiding citizens, for those of us that do have integrity, which is most of us, we need to have a system in place that protects them. And the other people, we need to have a system in place that keeps them in check and that punishes them when they do something that violates the rights of the others or takes advantage. So I think, again, maybe I'm naive. Having integrity is not hard for me. I think for most people, it's just that's how we are, or how we were raised. But you're right. There's an element that doesn't have that, and we have to fight it.
And it's difficult.
It can be difficult. It can be difficult, but doesn't mean it's impossible, and doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue to try.
When I listen to you, you know what I want to say? Você é bon garçon. You speak Creole, you understand?
Not that much Creole.
It's like you're a good guy. You're just a very good guy. Vous êtes un bon garçon. By listening to all your stories, it must be very difficult to be a judge because sometimes you have to take a decision. Were you in a situation where you took a decision and then you're asking yourself, is that the good decision? Was that the right move?
It is a very challenging job, and for a judge who really cares about the job, it can be very draining because you need to stay focused, and because, as you say, the consequences of a judge's decision can be very significant. And not just in the criminal context, as you said.
Any context.
Yeah, where you might take away someone's liberty. Or if a defendant is freed or put out on bail, they might go and harm somebody else. So you have these competing obligations. You need to protect the community, you need to protect the integrity of the proceedings, but as you know, one of the hallmarks of our system is someone is innocent, considered presumed innocent until proven guilty. So we have to balance all those factors in terms of, do we let someone out before their trial, for example? But you're right, that carries through the entire criminal process, through the trial, through sentencing, and they are very weighty decisions, and I think we want people of good character, of integrity, people who are going to be open-minded and are really going to scrutinize all of the factors so that you can make a just and equitable decision under the circumstances. And so to get back to your question, yeah, it's very difficult. But all you can do is make sure you're being open-minded, you're listening to the arguments, you're paying attention to the facts, you're applying the law and doing justice and fairness, taking all that into account.
We're back to fairness, service, integrity. Jason Bloch, I know why I will vote for you, but tell the public why they should vote for you.
I guess you really pointed it out, service, fairness, and integrity. That's what I'm about, especially when I come to the position of being a judge. I know what an enormous responsibility that is. I know what's at stake to the parties that come into court. And I know, for example, different communities may have different experiences. I've heard from my friends that people in the Haitian community may not be familiar with our court system, and there needs to be a certain cultural awareness and sensitivity to that. And I think I am open to that, and I will bring that to make sure that whoever you are, from whatever walk of life, from whatever country of origin, nobody's above or below the law. And I'd like to think that anyone came into my courtroom would be treated fairly, kindly, with respect, and with an explanation about why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's what I strived to do when I was a judge, and that's my pledge to do for your viewers and everyone else if I become a judge again, which I hope they will support me. And this is Group 52, and as you said, number 96, Jason Bloch.
Jason Bloch, thank you for visiting us. I really appreciate you, as you know, and we'll see you soon, and we wish you a lot of success in this race.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Mesdames et messieurs, n'a retourné dans le moment. Mesdames et messieurs, dernièrement, moi, j'ai rencontré avec Charlie Chris. Il était accompagné d'un monde que nous remet en pile tout, qui c'est Mary Woodson, qui lui-même tout li en campagne, pas oublier voter pour Mary Woodson, remet monde qui remet nous, la travail pour nous. Alors, Charlie Chris a gagné une conversation assez intéressante avec moi. Pas oublier que avant que le rentre dans gros bataille en novembre, il faut le passer d'abord dans primary qui a fait le 23 août. Alors, on nous tendait une partie dans la conversation.
We have here with us in your studio, actually, Governor Charlie Chris, that everybody has known in the state of Florida for a while. He was a governor, and when he was a governor in the state, his door was wide open for everyone.
We are very happy to see you running again.
It's my honor to be with you, Elizabeth. Thank you. I've been serving in Congress now. This is my third term. I serve Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, which is right there, is a hot spot right now. And all of Florida, it's increasing. So I hope that everybody wears a mask when they're indoors. I hope they all have been vaccinated if they choose to do so. And I want us to get through this as well as we possibly can. We've already lost over 80,000 now. Floridians have died. Almost 6 million Floridians have contracted COVID. And a lot of it rests at the feet of Governor DeSantis. He did not advise us to heed science and get vaccinated or wear a mask indoors. But what he did do, and this is a sin, he advised us to use a medicine called Regeneron, and that's fine, but that's not until after you get it. And my dad's a doctor, I just told you. My sister's a doctor. Prevention is the best way, whether it's cancer or COVID. And he didn't advise that way. He gave us the way to try to cure it after you get it, which is important. But here's the problem. He advised us to get Regeneron, which is a good medicine. I don't have any qualm with that. But the man who has the most stock in it, or second most, in the country, Ken Griffin from Chicago, who grew up in Boca, gave the governor $10 million for his campaign for reelection. And then the governor of Florida goes around the state as a salesman for Ken Griffin for his Regeneron. The medicine's fine, but to promote it to 22 million Floridians. But it's worse because he gets on national TV through Fox News. So he's a salesman to 360 million people. So a guy who gave him $10 million benefits financially while he doesn't advise my fellow Floridians to exercise prevention, get the disease, and then they can buy his friend's drug. That's what I'm running against.
Wow. So, Governor Chris, as a former Republican, do you recognize the party right now that
No,
you see right now?
and that's a great
What
question.
happened?
A lot. So I started seeing a problem back in 2009, 2010,
Yes.
and it really relates to President Obama, who I love. Great president, great man. Michelle, they're amazing people. So this goes back to February of 2009. I'm the Republican governor at the time of Florida. We're in the Great Recession. It's a nightmare economically, much worse than the inflation we're dealing with today, much worse. And I remember I was in Tallahassee in my office, and my scheduling office got a call from the White House that the new president, Barack Obama, was going to come to Florida, to Fort Myers, and they were inviting me to greet him when he came. So the staff comes into my office in Tallahassee, and they said, Governor, we've just gotten off the phone with the White House. They have invited you to meet next week with President Obama in Fort Myers. He's coming there to do a rally for the Recovery Act, the stimulus. Do you want to go? I said, of course. And they said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, why do you ask? And they said, well, you know he's a Democrat.
Wow.
I said, he's the president of the United States of America. And he's coming here to help our Florida and our country. I am going. Tell them I will be there. So they did. So I go down to Fort Myers the next week. I'm in the Fort Myers Convention Center. I'm not sure what they call it locally. And I'm in a garage area. And all of a sudden, in comes the beast, the big black Cadillac. He's in the it's massive. He's in the back seat, of course, along with Congressman Robert Wexler from West Palm. And so the president sees me. I'm standing right at the front of the car. It stops, thank God. And he looks at me and he goes, and I go, okay. So I walk up to the back door. He opens it. The congressman gets out the other side. President Obama slides over and he goes, have a seat, Charlie. So I sat down. We're sitting just as close as Representative and Governor are right now, Marie and Charlie, the M&C guy. But really, so the president looks at me very seriously and he said, couple things before we go in the convention center. I said, yes, sir. And he said, number one, Charlie, thank you for coming. I'm grateful that you're here. You're going to take grief for being here today. And I said, oh, I don't know about that. It'll be fine. He goes, listen to me. You're going to take grief for being with me today. I said, I'm honored to be with you. He said, good. Since you're here, would you introduce me today? And I said, that would be an honor. I'd be pleased to do that. He goes, well, let's keep it simple. This is just what he said, exactly, or almost exactly. He said, okay, Charlie, so you see those steps over there? I guess he had been briefed on the logistics. And I said, yes, sir, I do. He goes, we'll just go up those, and it's going to lead into the auditorium when we get to the top. He goes, another warning. I said, what's that? He goes, it's going to be loud. I said, yeah, I'm sure. I've been in audiences before. He goes, no. This is the first time I've been out of Washington since I got sworn in. My first trip to La Florida. I said, okay. He goes, plus, these are my people. It's going to be loud. I said, okay. So we went up the steps. walked in. It was loud. He was right. I mean, the place was jumping. And then I go to the podium. I thought I gave a proper introduction for a president. I conclude by saying, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Florida welcome to President Barack Obama. Place goes wild again. He comes up to the podium. I'm standing right there. He shakes my hand, and then he does this. He gets up, I get up, and we hug. Just like that. And somebody took a picture of it, right? And that was it for me as a Republican. Because what I found out in the days that followed was very disappointing that I was with a Democratic president. But what I came to find out eventually, many of them were disappointed because I was with the first black president. And it broke my heart.
Wow.
Well, it's a fact. And it broke my heart. And that wasn't how I was raised by my mother and father, Charlie and Nancy. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Practice the golden rule every day.
We will have to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Je rappelle nous, mesdames et messieurs, que nous suivons une entrevue que nous avons gagnée avec Charlie Crist et Mary Woodson. So tell me, is it difficult to run against this guy because he has a lot of support and
No, he has a lot of money.
a lot of money?
Yeah.
I think his support is a mile wide and an inch thick. In other words, thin. He gets most of his support from people outside Florida. What he's doing is running for president. Let's be honest. He's running for president in 2024, and he's seeking every red, hot button, red meat Republican issue he can to try to compete for the Republican nomination against Donald Trump. And he's forgotten Florida in the process. We're a purple state. We're a third Republican, a third independent, and a third Democratic. And he's appealing to only one of the three. And only to half of that one, the primary Republican voters, not even the general election, because he wants to get the primary election for president in 24. He's forgotten about Florida in 22. I'm enjoying running against that because I love Florida. And the governor of Florida should love her with all his heart or her heart. And he doesn't. He loves his ambitious future. And that's not fair to you. It's not fair to your daughter. It's not fair to Marie.
No.
It's not fair to any Floridian. Florida deserves a governor who wakes up every morning thinking about, how can I help Elizabeth and her family? How can I help Marie and her constituents? How can we get better housing for our people? We are the most expensive state to live in the United States, more than California, more than New York, because he's turned his back on us. I respect LGBTQ. I respect women and their right to choose. I respect teachers, and they need to be paid well. I respect protecting God's environment, and he doesn't. On every one of these issues, Ron is wrong, Ron. He's dead wrong. And Charlie's right. I am, because I listen to people. You know, God gives us all 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should listen twice as much as we talk. And I strive to be a good listener like Marie and be a servant with a servant's heart. He's a politician. I'm a servant of God.
We had bad experiences in our country with voting because sometimes it doesn't mean anything. So they think it's the same thing here, many of us. And they said, whatever, we still have the person who have to be there. And
Can I
they
give you
don't
some
think
faith
that
and hope?
their vote is important. So I would like you to talk to them directly to let them know.
Am I looking at that one?
Yes.
So I got the honor of serving with a man named John Lewis, a black congressman from Georgia, a great, iconic civil rights leader. And he used to always tell me and anybody who would listen in the Congress and in America, he would say, Charlie, he said, you know, your right to vote is precious. It's so precious, it's probably sacred. Because from that right to vote and that right to self-determination and that independence that is unique for the United States of America, And frankly, only 20%, 27% of countries have democracy. The rest don't even have it. We're blessed to have it. If you get out and you exercise that right to vote, if you make sure your family exercises that right to vote, and your friends and the people you go to church or synagogue with, make sure they get out, do souls to the polls, exercise the right to vote. As President Obama said, again, I'll reiterate because it's important to repeat, when we vote, we win. If you vote, you will have a new governor. DeSantis will be gone. And Florida's future will be bright. And we'll bring the sunshine back to the Sunshine State because you deserve better. With housing, with the price of gas, with the price of groceries, with the education your child gets, and honoring the teachers who teach them. Two of my three sisters were public school teachers in St. Petersburg, where I grew up. These things are important. Life can be better. Life will be better. But you got to vote. Please vote. For God's sake, please vote.
Merci à tout le monde qui était branché à Souéa. Rendez-vous semaine prochaine, même l'heure, pour nous recevoir l'autre candidat haïtien ou pas. À suivre. Merci beaucoup. Bonsoir.